Hello.
Hi. Hi, thanks for talking to me. I appreciate it.
Likewise.
And I very much enjoyed it. I binged all four like in one night. So everyone's
Thank
like it.
you.
But can you talk about sort of how it started? Like when did you guys decide to create it? How did that process happen?
So, like anything, we get shows or ideas from all different places and inspiration. Sometimes just from David Kelly's brain, sometimes a book, sometimes an article. You never know. And this happened to be a book that came across David's desk called The Missing File. Before he was done reading it, he said, "You got to check this character out. It's unlike anything I've seen before. I think there's really something to it." And I agreed from the first page. Avraham was a character who I'd never seen before, who I wanted to see more of, who I wanted to be in the care of. And from that jumping off point, it became, what do we take from the book? What do we need to invent and be inspired by the book to create, to bring it to screen?
That was kind of my next question. How do you balance sort of what you pull and what you create and what you add and subtract, that kind of thing?
I think for us, there's the saying of, or the teaching, write what you know. And so the books take place in Tel Aviv. That's not a place I've lived. It's not a place David's lived. And I think to tell this as authentically as possible, we found an actor who's very much Avraham and could authentically portray Avraham and Jeff. But in setting it, we needed to be able to write about a place that we were familiar with. And having lived there in Brooklyn, and I had a bar mitzvah, and we have tons of different perspectives and voices on this show in the writers' room and producers and the various directors we've had. That it should feel like a melting pot of perspectives and voices. But at the end of the day, to kick things off, both David and I looked at Brooklyn and felt like this is the place where we can tell this story authentically and efficiently.
All right. Now it looks like, great. I haven't read the books, but the first half of the season it looks like is the first book, and then it goes on to the next one. Are you going to kind of keep that format if you go beyond that, or?
It's a good question. I think we'll always remain true in honoring the Avraham character. We're never going to swerve and turn him into something that we believe he's not. There's at the end of episode 8, I won't spoil anything. There's a completely original cliffhanger beginning of a story that will kick things off on that is not in the books. So we looked at the way people were consuming television these days, and we made a conscious choice of, we didn't want to do a procedural, we wanted to do a serialized story, but we wanted something when the episodes drop all at once that someone could watch all four and really enjoy that and want to come back to live with these characters again and enjoy another four. And we think it's an interesting balance, and we hope audiences feel the same, that it's a fun new way to consume a story arc.
Yeah, I was going to say I like that it kind of had both, and that's it. So, what was the most difficult part about bringing the book to life? Is there anything in particular?
I think there's always the difficulty of people will just see a Jewish character. I think there's so many misconceptions about what Judaism even is, and people, I think, get a little afraid of different, no matter what that is. And if you're one religion and someone else is another, I don't know who that person is. I don't want to get to know them. And I think what this show does in success, and if we do our job right, is feeling like I don't know anyone like Avram, but I want to, and I'm glad I got to know him. And he's so much more than just his faith, and his faith extends to just an overall belief in humanity and his fellow man and fellow woman, and what it means to be a human on this planet, no matter what you believe in, no matter your race, no matter what it is, that we can all have a conversation and move forward rather than just putting walls up.
Right. We sort of see his process a little bit more, and he's obviously a little unorthodox. But just out of curiosity, do you? I mean, obviously you do this kind of thing, so you're not an actor. But do you think you'd make it like a good detective yourself? I mean, do you like puzzles and things like that and figuring it out?
I do say to my wife, if I wasn't a writer, I would probably want to be a detective. That doesn't mean I'd be a good one necessarily. I don't know, but I think working on the show has made me a better person. I don't know if that would make me a better detective, but it's opened my eyes to, in talking with a lot of the personnel on the ground in the NYPD, what they're going through, what the good apples in there, and they do exist, and there are some very bad apples that exist in any job that are in the NYPD, but there are some people in there who really care about their job and making the city and their families and their communities a better place. And I so look up to those people who day in and day out go out into the world and try to do real good at the end of the day.
Out of the four main characters, which one do you like? Which one are you most like? Which do you connect with the most?
I would say I'm most like Janine. I'm coming to Abraham of I've never seen anyone like him before. She's a bit younger. She's a bit um, I don't want to say hungrier. That's not necessarily the word, but she's a bit more free thinking in that she will try anything. Whereas Abraham's a bit set in his ways, and she serves as a great catalyst to change that in Abraham as we go throughout the series.
Right. I was also going to ask, was there a I guess decision. I noticed, I didn't know if the show was going to be, it obviously gets some dark,
Yeah.
but it could be bloody. It could be more violent than it is. I kind of like that it wasn't, because there's so much of that on television. When can you just kind of talk about sort of that balance and making that decision of
I think
how far to go?
we're all going through our own problems at the end of the day, and the world is what it is these last couple of years. I don't want to sit down and watch something that's incredibly dark for an hour, let alone 8 hours at the end of the day. So we made a conscious decision that this needs to, in order to resonate with an audience, it needs to entertain. And part of that is balancing, as you so well put it, just it's dark, but it's not too dark. It's also, from the very first scene, you've got a guy in a hot dog costume who
Yeah.
who has pushed someone. And so that's a hallmark of what I think David Kelly does so well, is there's some levity as there is in real life, in these roller coaster moments where we go up and we go down, and it's not a line directly down into the depths of darkness. It should never feel like that.
So if you're pitching this to the audience, you had to describe it in like 3 words or a few words, how would you describe the show specifically?
I would describe it foremost as a thriller. I think, people want a good, delicious whodunit, and I think we offer a lot of interesting red herrings and amazing performances by our supporting and guest cast. I would say it offers compassion, in that we should all feel like these are their own protagonists of their own stories. Everyone should feel fully fleshed out and have a background. I believe they do. And at the end of the day, I think the last word I would use is mysterious. I don't think Abraham is a character we want to feel like we know, even in season 4 of this show. We want to be surprised by Abraham, as we do all of our characters, but Abraham in particular should always feel like he's got another layer to go with him. So I think that's what will make the show last for several seasons, we hope, and what we hope connects people from jump.
All right. Well, I hope so. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. I watched it really fast. So I
Thank you.
definitely
That means
liked
a
it.
lot. Thank you so much.
Sure. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too.